So how's everybody out there doing? Good, I hope. Man, I'm doing good. It is good to be back. Let me tell you, it's been a long time since I've been making videos. You can check the date on some of the older ones on the channel. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was putting them up. Fell off big time. And it was no excuses. Things get busy, things happen, but I should have been making them. This is truly where it's at. So as I was saying, great to be back. Great to be doing it once again. And just in time too, right? Perfect timing. So this is where I'm going to be at. This will be the new spot. I'm going to try and create a massive amount of content, trying to have a lot of stuff up, making good quality stuff all the time. A lot of analysis, a lot of previews. Just trying to give my look on things, right? Just trying to give my opinion, throw my 2 cents in there. I love doing it, and people seem to enjoy it, and at least I hope they do, right? They've always have in the past, and I hope it stays that way. So it's a perfect time to come back. Perfect fight coming up. It's February 18th today, right? So massive fight, February 22nd, getting the rematch, Fury Wilder. Man, I've been waiting for that since the 12th round ended on the last one. Man, that was a phenomenal fight. It was something else. It was like a lot of times, unfortunately, recently you haven't gotten a lot of excitement out of the heavyweight division, outside of the ring or inside of the ring, right? The fights haven't always been that great. And outside of the ring, there hasn't been a lot going on. But the last biggest one before the first Fury Wilder, had to be Joshua Klitschko. That was a good one too, man. That was a barn burner. That was an awesome fight. So, but this one. So we got the rematch, Fury Wilder. Fury versus Wilder Part 2. Right? And the big question seems to be, can Wilder land that right hand? So let me just jump out here right now and just say, absolutely he can. He's done it in every single fight that he's been in, including his last one with Fury. Right? I mean, he didn't knock him out. Obviously, Fury got up twice, but he landed that shot. He landed that shot 2 times. So can he land it again? Of course he can land it again. And of course he's going to land it again. But, and it's a big but the question is he going to do the damage? Is he going to put him down? Is he going to knock him out? That's the big thing. Right? Of course he's going to land the right hand. There's no way in the world you're going to fight that man for 36 minutes and think that he's not going to land that right hand. The question is, how's he going to land it? Because he lands it a lot of times without knocking a guy out, without getting his guy out of there, right? I mean, he didn't get Fury out last time. Dropped him twice, didn't get him out of there, though, right? Ended up coming away with a draw. Controversial, to say the least. Personally, I gave that one to Fury. I thought he got it on points. Definitely thought he was the better boxer, dominated more of the fight in the exchanges, and looking at a straight point system by rounds, had to give it to him, in my opinion. But it was close. It was close. So this time, is Wilder going to be able to land that shot and get him out of there? And that's really what's debatable, right? And there's a couple ways to look at it. There's a lot of people out there who are saying, hey, those 12 rounds that Wilder did with Fury, I mean, he learned so much. That was a master class for him, right? He was able to get in there. He was able to see different looks and things that he had never experienced before. And he learned from it. So even though he was getting outboxed the majority of the fight, you could see towards the end, which is when he landed his 2 big shots, right? Even coming in the 12th round, he was starting to figure him out. He was starting to learn it. And I get that line of logic, right? That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Wilder came to the game late, jumped in the Olympics, couldn't have looked more raw than him. I mean, he was just out there. He was out there. He looked really raw from the way he threw his shots, his spacing, his timing, the footwork that he was using. He was a work in progress, to say the least, right? Now, it's also part of the reason that his team took his career the way that he did. Like, he wasn't fighting for a world title in 15 fights or 20 fights or anything like that. Like, they brought him along very slowly to build him up. Mark Breland was taking his time with him, and as he should, right? Because the man had probably the hardest, the biggest punch in all of boxing history. And he obviously had a lot of underlying athletic talent from playing basketball and things like that in the past. So it was good to bring him along at a way that's going to develop him to his fullest potential. That's what you need to do. You don't just rush him out there. He's not a freak show. He's not a sideshow. You don't want to rush things and get him in a bad spot. So they did correctly with that. He had a lot of things that he has to work on and overcome and different things, right? So it was good that they handled it that way, and you see it reaping the rewards, right? He's definitely got the benefits from it. I mean, man's got the belt, right? Can't beat that. So he gets in there with Fury. He's still learning and everything, because Fury is by far the more skilled, talented boxer, and especially in a traditional technical sense. So goes out there and he learns a lot from it. Okay, great. That argument can be made. I understand that. And maybe that's how it plays out. Maybe he does go out there and land it. Okay. Still, doesn't change the fact that still, even going into the rematch with all the experience that he gained from the first one, he's still less experienced. He's still less technical. His skill level still isn't as high as Fury. Right? I don't think anybody debates that. What everybody's debating is whether he can use that right hand, right? Something that Faraz Sahabi would refer to as the touch of death. Can he get in there and land it? Because if he can, nothing else matters, right? Perfect example being his last fight with Ortiz. I mean, he was probably down 6 rounds to zip, right? Down 6-0 going into that 7th round, and looked like he couldn't have cared about it less. He looked like he couldn't have cared about it less. Why? Because he knew what his plan was. His plan the whole time was just to come in there and stop him. He's like, I'm going to land this right hand. I'm going to get him out of there, and that's that. Didn't matter if it handed at 259 of the 12th round. His whole plan was just to land that shot and get him out of there. He did. Boom. Game over. Everybody goes home. Right? And I mean, there's an argument to be made for that, man. There definitely is. Now, every fight's different. Styles make fights. We know all those things. And now he's not going in against an old Ortiz. He's going in against Fury. Right? But Fury also has experience. Fury also learned from that first fight. And I believe that his boxing IQ is higher, and he's got more to learn. He can take in that information that he learned about the way Wilder shoots the right hand, how he tries to line things up, how he tries to get his feet, how he tries to control the distance, any of those things, and he's going to be able to learn from it. Okay? So if you look at it, what's Wilder's biggest change, in my opinion? One, he's being a lot more patient. Right? You look at that fight with Ortiz, for sure. Way more patient. Didn't get flustered at all. Even though the rounds were getting down, they were ticking by. 1, 2, 3. He's losing them all. He's got to know that he's losing them all. Doesn't care at all. Gets in there, lands his big shot. Bang. So he needs to be patient, right? Because he fights very emotionally, it seems like at times, right? You watch a lot of, especially like his fights prior to like his last 2 or 3. Maybe even his first fight with Ortiz, like particularly you see when he gets a guy hurt, man, he runs in there and starts looping shots, right? These huge haymakers that are coming from all over, and he tries to put everything behind him, and it just looks like a guy who doesn't necessarily have that like a hardcore technical boxing background or a striking background, and he comes in there and he just tries to get his shots off. He's all excited. He's geeked about the situation, knows his guy's on the ropes. He knows what kind of power he has. And he just wants to get him out of there. And it works for him, right? He does it. So, man, it's like good for him. But he's going to need to tighten that up, right? And being more patient, being more a little bit more conservative and in the moment and staying focused, that's what's really going to allow him to do that. And he's been showing that. And I think it's something he's really been, him and his team have been working on, right? So, and it showed in his last fight, okay? But you can't be too patient. You also need to think, what if this guy makes it and I got to win on points, all right? But the other thing he's done is with Teddy Atlas, I really like the way Teddy refers to this, right? If you've ever listened to him talk about anything, he refers to it as the delivery system, right? The way he delivers that right hand. Because anybody can go in the gym and beat up the bag, right? Anybody can go in the gym and do that. You go into boxing gyms all across the country. I've been in a bunch. You go in them all across the country, and you see guys in there that look like world champions when they're working out. Okay, but that's not when world champions are made. It's not where the belts are won. It happens when you're actually fighting another trained man. Okay, so he goes in there, he can beat up the bag. That looks great. That's not the same as landing your shot. That's not the same as getting your shot off against a guy who doesn't want to be hit. That's a way different thing, right? So that's about the timing, the spacing, controlling the distance, and setting your shot up, right? Maybe the guy's skilled. You got to walk him into a trap, something like that. And it looks like his delivery system, I got to agree, it's a lot better. And one of the things that he really did, both against Brazil and against Ortiz, was it was his 1-2. There was like zero hesitation between the jab getting followed up by the right hand. Bang, bang, just right there, right? It was almost like he blinds him with the jab, and the right hand is just coming so close behind. There wasn't even time for the guy to do anything, right? And both of them, he just came right in, bang, lands that right hand, boom, the guy's out of there. So he looks like, and they weren't looping shots. They were straight. They were a little bit shorter than normal. Like, they were impressive. Right? It was really good. So it looks like something he's been working on. So he's really got those two things going for him that are going to help him get off his shot. Okay? And what's the flip side to that? The flip side is Fury. Right? Now, you look at him last time. How do you avoid that right hand, 98% of the time? He got underneath it. Right? He dipped off to his right side and he got underneath that right hand. Movement at the waist, bending at the waist, something that you just do not see heavyweights do typically. I mean, they don't move like that. I mean, that guy he moves like a middleweight, the way he gets underneath shots. I mean, that's incredibly impressive, right? For a guy that big to move like that. And it's part of the reason it's so confusing, because otherwise you can't even find other heavyweights in the gym to spar with that move that way. I mean, it's insane. The way he gets big, and then you throw in his footwork on top of it. The way he's able to control distance and move in and out when he wants. The way he uses feints to throw off your timing and your rhythm. It's great. Now the age-old logic would say that he's going to come out there and do the same thing again, right? You got a big puncher like that. You stay on the outside of him. You dart in and out when you want. Get your shots off. Get underneath his. Back up, counter, things like that. And that's pretty much was his game plan last time, and it worked really good. Except when it didn't, right? Except when it didn't, and that's when he got those shots landed on. But here's the thing: there's another way to fight a man with great power, okay? And Fury's talking about it, and he's come out and said, and he goes, "I'm gonna back him up. I'm gonna get right in his face. We're gonna be right in the middle of the ring. I'm gonna back him up, and I'm gonna knock him out." And everybody laughs about it. Everybody laughs. Oh, that's not what you do to a big puncher. Oh, that's not the way you fight a guy like Wilder. Oh, that's not how you do it. Those are people who don't know. I'm telling you, man, it is absolutely a legitimate option to fight a guy like that, okay? You take away his power by being inside. When you're too close, he can't get his shots off. Sure, maybe he actually lands leather, but he doesn't have any power behind it because you're smothering all his shots. That's number one. He can't get the leverage on the shots because you're too close to him. Number two, Wilder does not know how to fight off the back foot at all. Honestly, even when you look at pros, the majority of fighters don't. It's very difficult, okay? And you have to really understand. You want to know who fights off the back foot as an absolute master? Juan Manuel Marquez. Shout out to Juan Manuel Marquez. He's getting inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. I think it's in June. Master boxer, man. I've enjoyed watching him so much over the years, man. Like, my favorite counterpuncher by a mile. I love the way he fights. Skill level incredibly high. That's not Deontay Wilder, okay? That's not the way Wilder fights, and he's not going to go out and all of a sudden just learn to fight just out of nowhere randomly, just fighting off the back foot like that, okay? It's just not his style. It's not how he does it, So Fury, if he's able to back him up, if he's able to put him on the back foot, if he's able to completely throw everything off, he's going to take away so much of Wilder's game, right? It's like if you box him from the outside and you're moving and you're letting him shoot his shots and you're constantly trying to block him, slip him, get underneath him and counter, you're letting Wilder execute his game, and then you're just diffusing it and beating it. But the whole game, the whole match, right? All 12 rounds, you're letting him do what he wants to do, and you're just avoiding it, trying to not let him get off, okay? But you slip up one time, and he's already doing what he wants to do, and then he can come in, and he's going to land that shot. He's got so much devastating power, lights out. That's a problem. You got to be on for all 36 minutes, and it's one of Wilder's things that he says. You got to be perfect all night. I only got to be perfect for a couple seconds. All right, and we've seen that play out. It's not just a saying. He knows it. It's how it plays out. But if you back him up, if Fury can go in there and actually back him up, then even when Wilder gets off, he doesn't have the power. Because he can't generate power when he's on that back foot. He can't generate power when he doesn't have his legs spread and his feet flat and he's turning that shot over and popping his hips and popping his shoulder, getting guys at the end of it with maximum leverage. He can't do that if you're backing him up. So then even if he lands, he's never in his wheelhouse. He's never doing what he wants to do. That power's not going to be there. Think about that for a minute. That's very different than letting him do what he wants to do all night, coming forward and you slipping and sliding and moving, right? Both can be effective, but both very different. And I think if he's able to do what he says and back him up, keep him on the back foot, if he's able to do that, which I absolutely believe he has the skills to do it, he's proven that his boxing IQ and his skill set, Fury, is through the roof, right? So I absolutely believe that he can go in there and execute that game plan. The fight's going to look way different, and Wilder is going to look like a fish out of water, man. It's not going to be a fun night for him. It's not going to be pleasant because he's not going to be able to do it. It's not just going in there and I'm shooting my shots and I can't land them. He's never even going to be in the positions that he wants to be in. He's not going to be geographically in the ring where he wants to be. May find himself with his back against the rope at times and trying to like circle out from Fury. And then let's throw another thing in there. Fury landed some hard shots on him last time and hurt him, staggered him. What's going to happen then? Because he says he's going to knock him out this time. What's he going to do? Is he going to go in and go to the body, try to sap his strength, and then land his shots? Like, Deontay Wilder isn't the hardest guy to hit. A lot of guys have cracked him over the years, Fury included. It's just that Fury didn't have great power, right? If Fury had better power, probably would have put him out in the first fight. Now he's talking about coming in with this completely different game plan, which may completely take away the biggest thing Wilder has going for him, which is his power, and then on top of it, open up more shots for him to land, which is going to throw Wilder off even more. Can he do it? Man, he absolutely can do it. Will he do it? Well, that's a different question, right? That's a different story. Will he actually be able to get it done? I mean, that's why we're all going to tune in. That's why it's going to be so exciting. Man, I can't wait for Saturday night to see this fight, It's the big question. It's the big question. Where's the fight going to take place? Because that's really what's going to determine, in my opinion, on whether or not Fury is able to, or Wilder is able to land that right hand. It's going to be exciting.